A car crash threw me into a trashy CEO romance. As the obsessive ex-husband of the Ice Queen CEO, thinking of the original guy's tragic end, I quickly signed my name on the divorce papers. The female CEO's face instantly darkened. "Ethan, are you absolutely sure about this?" My heart skipped a beat, and I instinctively clutched my wallet. Are you kidding me? The massive divorce settlement. I wasn't giving back a single cent. After lying in a hospital bed for 3 days, I finally accepted the reality of my transmigration. Ethan, a regular college guy, had become the villainous side character in a cliché billionaire romance. I was the CEO's ex-husband, a spoiled rich kid who used his family's wealth and power to be an absolute menace. At the university's opening ceremony, I fell for the female lead, Chloe, at first sight, relentlessly pursuing her and using every trick in the book to force her into marrying me. Chloe was the standard campus novel heroine, beautiful, brilliant, but from a poor family. Her father was deaf and mute. Her mother had kidney failure. And to raise money for her mother's medical bills, she finally gave in and married me. 5 years of marriage, Chloe grew from an unknown office worker into a business tycoon, and the relationship between us only got worse. Chloe gradually slipped from my control, but I remained blissfully unaware, still acting outrageously until I pushed her first love down the stairs, breaking his leg. That was the last straw for Chloe. She demanded a divorce, and that's when I got into the car accident. Chloe only came to see me on the third day, tossing the divorce agreement at me. "Ethan, have you had enough of your drama?" The woman's voice was icy, her eyes filled with impatience and disgust. But even so, the moment I saw her face, my heart still pounded. You couldn't blame the original Ethan for being obsessed. This face was truly stunning. Then I glanced at the divorce agreement, saw the assets I stood to gain, and my heart stopped entirely. Holy crap, I was rich. The original Ethan's family was wealthy, but he was an arrogant, spoiled brat with a younger brother who outshone him in every way. He had no chance of inheriting the family company. But Chloe, in just a few short years, had built an empire, and her assets were staggering. Once we divorced, the settlement would be astronomical. I must have done a lifetime of good deeds to deserve such a windfall. After calculating the money I'd get, I suppressed my excitement, lowered my head, and stayed silent for a long time, afraid a smile would slip out and Chloe would notice something was off. Then I took a deep breath. Fine, I agreed to the divorce. Chloe froze. She probably never expected me to agree so readily, but opportunity knocks but once. Before she could process it, I scribbled my name on the divorce papers. Chloe seemed to sense something was wrong, her brow furrowing. "You." I turned my head away, my voice filled with feigned despair. I thought it through, Chloe. Let's just let each other go. There was a long silence behind me. Just as I was about to snuggle back under the covers and count my future millions again, I realized Chloe was still standing there, silently staring at the signed agreement, not moving. I asked, puzzled, "Aren't you leaving?" Chloe looked up. I offered a subtle reminder. Isn't that Leo guy's injury still healing? Shouldn't you go see him more?" Chloe's face suddenly turned cold. I felt a little uneasy. Don't tell me she's regretting giving me so much money, but I'd already signed my name. She couldn't back out now. Besides, given how magnanimous I was being, she owed me this money. Chloe had a first love in college, Leo. Unlike the arrogant, domineering rich kid I was, Leo was gentle, sensible, and driven. He came from a single-parent home and grew up poor, but he was determined and excelled in every aspect. In a way, he and Chloe were the same kind of people. He was the only one who could truly understand her soulmate. If it weren't for me, they would have naturally gotten together, struggled together in the city after graduation, and built a happy life for themselves. I had ruined all of it. The Ethan in the novel was insanely jealous of Leo, constantly making trouble for him, and finally, in a fit of madness, physically attacked him. From that point on, Chloe completely despised Ethan and cut him off. It doesn't take a genius to figure out how miserable my fate as the villainous side character would be after offending both the male and female leads. So, the plan was to take the money and run. Chloe eventually slammed the door and left. I patted my chest and muttered under my breath, Quite a temper, but the thought of the fortune I was about to receive made me happy again. This kind of windfall wasn't something that happened to just anyone. Just then, I received a message on Facebook from Jessica. Heard Chloe finally decided to grace you with her presence today. Her tone was dripping with mockery. This was Ethan's childhood friend, a spoiled and willful rich girl whose expertise wasn't having a good time. She looked down on Chloe, and Chloe looked down on her. They were complete rivals, especially after I married Chloe. Our families interacted more, and her grandfather would often use Chloe's success to belittle her, making Jessica despise Chloe even more. She called me a lovesick fool and was always telling me to go pick weeds in her family's garden. This time, she was clearly here to gloat. But did I care? Please. I was busy getting rich and counting my money. Who has time for melodrama? Yeah, I thought for a moment, then snapped a picture of the divorce agreement and sent it to her. Starting today, your boy is single. Buy me dinner. Jessica called me immediately. Her first words were a shriek. Are you insane? TSK. Such harsh words. I'm heading to the courthouse to get it stamped as soon as I'm out of the hospital. Luckily, the car crash wasn't too serious. Just a knock to the head and a mild concussion. You're not going to celebrate with me? Jessica was quiet for a moment, then she laughed. All right, so Mr. Hamilton, what kind of celebration did you have in mind? I said, I hear you just opened a new bar. A week later, I changed into an expensive suit and walked out of the hospital in style. Jessica stood with her arms crossed, laughing at me, dressed to the nines in a hospital. Have you lost your mind? At what? Do you know? Today is a very special day. Jessica couldn't be bothered with me and turned to leave, only to run right into Chloe. Chloe's gaze lingered on her for a second, her eyes turning cold. You're here. I walked over and smiled at her. Where's the car? Chloe's expression softened slightly. In the parking garage. Let's go. Jessica was not having it. She tilted her head, narrowing her eyes at me. Ethan, you're not riding with me? I waved my hand. Hey, I have to go to the courthouse with Chloe to finalize the divorce first. It's more convenient to take her car. With that, I hurried Chloe, who had suddenly frozen in place. What are you standing there for? Let's go. Jessica burst out laughing. Right. This is important business. Don't let it be delayed. Chloe's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. Ethan, you just can't wait to be done with me. What? Weren't you the one who wanted this divorce? Why are you being so passive-aggressive? I answered honestly, mainly because I have other plans tonight. I figure we could get this done early, so I don't waste your time. Chloe was always busy, rarely even coming home. I knew she didn't want to see me, and, conveniently, I had no intention of staying entangled with her either. We go our separate ways, live our own lives. Isn't that great? Chloe turned and walked away, her face a mask of coldness. There weren't many people at the courthouse, and soon it was our turn. Just as we were about to go in, Chloe's phone rang. I glanced over. It was Leo. Chloe stepped aside to answer, and I vaguely heard her gentle, soft voice. Yeah, I'm still out taking care of something. She had never spoken to Ethan in that tone. This marriage was a forced affair from the start. For 5 whole years, they were at each other's throats, unable to even have a peaceful meal together, let alone speak with such gentle concern. The clerk called out twice. Are you two doing this or not? I shook my head, feeling a pang of sympathy for the original Ethan. He really held no place in her heart. Chloe, I called out to her. Can we just get my thing done first this time? Chloe was the type to always prioritize Leo. Ethan had argued and fought, but she remained unmoved. The original guy was a fool, thinking he could ever win against Leo. What a glutton for punishment. And Chloe, too. If she just prioritized me this one time, she could be with her first love openly and sooner, right? Chloe's expression froze. Then she said into the phone, have Dr. Jang take a look at you first. I'll be there soon. 20 minutes later, I was holding a freshly issued divorce certificate, tears welling in my eyes. It's mine. My massive settlement is mine. From this day on, I'll travel, drink, eat, and be a happy man. I said to Chloe with the utmost sincerity, Chloe, thank you and goodbye. Thank you for your money, and also, let's never see each other again. I walked out and immediately spotted Jessica. The woman had driven an incredibly flashy red Ferrari, so eye-catching it was impossible to miss. I strode over happily. I'm rich. I need to spend. Suddenly, Chloe's strained voice came from behind me. Ethan. I turned back quickly. Something else? Chloe's lips were pressed tightly together, her expression unreadable. If it were the old Ethan, seeing her so obviously upset, he would have demanded to know what was wrong. But I couldn't be bothered to pretend anymore. If there's nothing else, I'm leaving. I quickened my pace. For a cannon fodder character like me, staying far away from the male and female leads is the key to happiness. As I drove away in Jessica's car, I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. Chloe was standing there, people bustling around her, looking strangely lonely. Well, she must be relieved to finally be free of pests like me. Jessica glanced at me, having second thoughts. What? I said enthusiastically. The pretty girls at your bar. You saved them all for me, right? Jessica was utterly speechless. I was seriously worried about you for nothing. I thought you were so in love with her, but the moment you're divorced, happy is written all over your face. Was it that obvious? I pulled down the passenger side mirror and took a good look. The current Ethan was 28, although I'd aged 10 years in an instant. At least this face was handsome and, most importantly, rich. I thought for a moment and offered an explanation. She doesn't love me, so I might as well not love her either. At a red light, Jessica turned and stared at me for a long time. Just as I was starting to feel uncomfortable, she said with an unreadable expression, "This car crash seems to have changed you into a different person." My heart lurched. I was quiet for a moment, then shrugged. I guess when a person has a near-death experience, they see a lot of things more clearly. Jessica was taken aback. Then she smiled, too. That makes sense. All right. Tonight, everything's on me. 2 hours later, Jessica regretted it. She asked with a dark face, "Haven't you ordered enough?" She wasn't talking about the drinks, but the pretty young women at the bar, or rather the girls. I raised my glass to her. "Come on, have a drink with your big bro." Jessica was speechless. I patted her shoulder, pointing to the circle of beautiful girls. "Look, these girls are all sweet and pretty. Aren't they all better than my ex-wife?" The original Ethan was a fool. There are so many beautiful women in the world, and with his money and looks, why did he have to hang himself on one tree? People are most afraid of getting stuck in a rut. Jessica sneered. "So, you finally regained your sight." A slender girl came over to pour me a drink, looking very demure. "Brother, try this one." Sure. I was about to happily accept it when Jessica snatched the glass away. "Don't mix your drinks. You just got out of the hospital. I don't want to be calling 911 for you later." With that, she glanced at the girl whose face instantly turned pale, and she quickly bowed her head in apology. "I'm sorry, brother. I didn't know you." I waved my hand magnanimously. It's fine. I'm happy today." Then I gave Jessica a teasing look. "You're something else. You know, it's okay for you to do whatever you want, but not for me. When all your little boy toys were feeding you drinks, you seem to be having a great time. But when it's my turn, it's a no-go." Jessica laughed in exasperation. "Is that even comparable? Why not? I'm a newly minted rich guy. I could do whatever I want." Jessica suddenly asked again, "By the way, do your parents know about this?" I froze. Oh crap, I forgot about that. Before I could say anything, Jessica looked at me as if she had seen through everything. "I knew you wouldn't dare to tell them." It wasn't that I didn't want to, it was that I didn't dare. The original Ethan's relationship with his family wasn't great. His parents were stubborn and old-fashioned, favoring his younger brother. His personality was rebellious, and he had a huge falling out with them over marrying Chloe. Later, when Chloe's career took off, their attitude did a complete 180, and they repeatedly blamed him for his conflicts with her. Anyway, the villainous side character's life wasn't exactly a walk in the park before, but still, the divorce is final. What do I have to be afraid of? The days that followed were even happier than I had imagined. I had the housekeeper pack up all of Chloe's things and ship them to her. This villa was originally a wedding gift from Ethan's parents, but Chloe never liked staying here. Perhaps every corner of it reminded her of the humiliation Ethan had brought her. In the beginning, she mostly stayed at the office. Later, as her career soared, She bought an apartment near her company. The original Ethan went there once and happened to run into Leo. Talk about awkward. Although Leo immediately explained that he was just taking shelter from the rain. With Ethan's temper, how could he not get angry? He had a huge fight with Chloe that time, and they gave each other the silent treatment for a month. In the end, it was Ethan who couldn't stand it and gave in. What can you do when she's the only one in his eyes and heart? Well, now it's great. This huge 3-story luxury villa is all mine. Chloe didn't have much stuff here, but after clearing it out, it still felt a bit empty. So, I immediately went out shopping. Then, I started pointing at things in my favorite stores. This one, and not this one. Bag up the rest for me. Of course, Mr. Hamilton. The store manager's smile was so wide it almost split her face. She was happy, and I was happy. Several sales associates followed behind me carrying my things. I didn't expect to run into Chloe right as I was leaving. She was stunned to see me, and I saw Leo following behind her. It seemed his leg injury had mostly healed. He was even able to go shopping at the mall. Chloe's lips moved, and she actually spoke first. His mom's birthday is coming up, so I brought him here to pick out a gift. I blinked. Oh, why are you telling me this? I don't care. Out of politeness, I still gave a courteous nod. However, before I could take my leave, Leo also spoke up. His expression seemed a bit apologetic. Mr. Hamilton, I'm sorry. My leg is still not fully recovered, so I had to ask Chloe to bring me here. I see you bought a lot of things. Is it hard to carry? Why don't you let Chloe give you a ride? I'll be fine on my own. Listen to that. The art of conversation. He reminded Chloe that I was the one who pushed him, hinted that I shouldn't be jealous, and generously offered Chloe to me. I smiled and said, no need. My car is just downstairs. Besides, for such personal matters, I'd rather not trouble Miss Sterling. Leo was taken aback. What? I was surprised too, and looked at Chloe. Miss Sterling, you haven't told Mr. Leo that we're already divorced? Dead silence. Leo looked at Chloe, his face full of shock. Chloe's beautiful face was tense, her expression not looking good. I don't like to publicize my private life. What are you indirectly calling me out? All I did was throw a few parties to celebrate the divorce. Why so petty? Leo also seemed not to have expected this bombshell, his mouth hanging open. Chloe, you and Mr. Hamilton have. Why didn't you tell me? Hearing his voice, Chloe seemed to remember he was there. Her red lips moved, and after a pause, she explained in a low voice. I've been too busy lately. TSK. She used to love using that line on Ethan. I guess what goes around comes around. Even Leo gets to hear it now. But a male lead is different from a side character. For Leo, this was fantastic news. His eyes darted between me and Chloe, and he said with apparent apology, I'm so sorry. I didn't know before. I didn't mean to bring it up. Mr. Hamilton, you don't mind, do you? Of course I don't mind. She's just a woman I have no connection with anymore. Well, you two go ahead and shop. My personal shopper is holding my things, and they're quite heavy. I'll be going now. Just as I took a step, Chloe suddenly said, wait. I turned back. Is there something else, Miss Sterling? Chloe frowned, seeming unaccustomed to my sudden change in attitude toward her. Mom said yesterday that you haven't been to see her in a long time. Chloe's voice lowered as if it was difficult for her to say, but she had to. If you have time, you should go see her. She was talking about her mother with kidney failure. Unlike Chloe, her mother had always been very fond of Ethan because Chloe had never told her that she was forced to marry him. In the old woman's heart, this young master, Ethan, didn't look down on their family's condition and was devoted to Chloe. Of course, she saw him in a favorable light. In the early days of their marriage, to please Chloe, Ethan had insisted on taking care of her mother, earning goodwill from the old woman. He knew this was his last bargaining chip. Chloe was a filial daughter, and for this reason alone, she wouldn't easily break things off with him. But Ethan had laid a hand on Leo, crossing her bottom line, and with that, he lost his final trump card. I thought about it and agreed. All right, how about tomorrow? After all, the old lady had done nothing wrong. Chloe's expression relaxed, and she naturally added, then I'll pick you up tomorrow morning. I smiled at her and dangled my car keys. No need. I have hands and feet. I can get around just fine. I'll drive myself. I wouldn't want to trouble Miss Sterling. Both Chloe and Leo's expressions froze simultaneously. The next morning, I set off for the nursing home. This high-end facility was in the suburbs with excellent facilities and services, and of course, a very high price tag. "Mr. Hamilton, you're here." The caregiver greeted me politely when she saw me. This was someone Chloe had hired, knowing my relationship with Chloe was bad. She was also quite distant with me. Chloe's mother was lying in bed. Years of kidney disease had left her thin and weak, but these past few years in the nursing home had improved her condition. The caregiver's gaze lingered on the thermal container in my hand for a moment, and she pursed her lips with a hint of disdain. Even a caregiver looked down on my attempts to curry favor, because she knew that no matter what I did, it would only disgust Chloe. "Ethan," Chloe's mother said with a kind smile when she saw me. "Have you been busy lately? I haven't seen you in a while." I sighed internally. Ethan had only ever used her, but she had taken it seriously. The old woman had done nothing wrong. "A little. I brought you some chicken soup. You should try some later." But Chloe's mother took my hand, looked at me for a long time, and asked cautiously, "Did that girl Chloe make you angry again?" I shook my head, but she didn't believe me. She sighed helplessly. "Chloe has been stubborn since she was a child, and she likes to keep things to herself. If she made you unhappy, you tell me, and I'll talk to her for you." I felt even more guilty. I had planned to tell her about the divorce, but now the words were stuck in my throat. Impossible to say. I had lunch with Chloe's mother and chatted with her for a while. Before leaving, I hesitated for a long time before finally managing to say, "I'm going to be busy for a while, so I might not be able to come and see you often." I'd reduce the frequency first, then find a suitable time to tell her. It should be better that way. It was impossible to hide it forever. Even if I was willing, Chloe wouldn't agree. If I came too often, she'd probably think I still had feelings for her. Chloe's mother patted my hand and sighed softly. "Ethan, you're a good boy. What happened before? Chloe was in the wrong. Although she never mentioned it to me, I know she feels very guilty and regrets it. She loves you so much. How could she not be heartbroken when she lost the baby?" My heart skipped a beat. The baby? That's right. That was the catalyst that completely destroyed the relationship between Ethan and Chloe. Yes, Ethan and Chloe had a child before, and he had used all sorts of means to get it after Chloe got drunk at a social event. In short, the child conception wasn't exactly above board. But in Ethan's eyes, this was the most powerful weapon to tie Chloe to him after finding out she was pregnant. Chloe, on one hand, felt guilty towards her first love, Leo, and on the other, couldn't bear to part with her own flesh and blood. In the end, she chose the child. Her own childhood had been hard enough, so she couldn't bear for her child to be born into a broken family. That period was the best time for her and Ethan. She would obediently eat the supplements Ethan bought for her and would specifically read all sorts of parenting guides. She genuinely wanted to be a good mother. That's why after the miscarriage, she completely broke with him. The incident itself was rather bizarre. After Chloe got pregnant, Ethan sensed her attitude softening and pushed his luck, wanting her by his side at all times. Whenever Chloe tried to refuse, he would use the excuse of prenatal education and bonding with the baby, forcing her to comply. After a while, Chloe became impatient. Once, Chloe had to go on a business trip, and Leo was among the colleagues going with her. Ethan refused to let her go, telling her to send someone else and stay home to rest. Chloe felt he was interfering with her freedom, being overly suspicious and domineering, and they had a huge fight. "Ethan, can you be normal for once? Stop thinking everyone is as dirty as you are." After saying that, Chloe slammed the door and left. That very night, Ethan received news that Chloe, due to her anger, had suffered a miscarriage. As you can imagine, once this happened, their relationship completely fell apart, causing a massive upheaval. If before this, Chloe felt disgust for Ethan, after this, it was mixed with hatred. She never set foot in their marital home again, nor did she have any contact with him until Ethan went to find Leo and pushed him down the stairs. This was the last straw. I mean, you have to admit the original guy was a real piece of work. So ruthless, he didn't even spare himself. I was silent for a moment, then said, "It's all in the past. The original Ethan is dead." These matters ended here. Leaving the nursing home, I felt a bit down. I wasn't sure if it was for Chloe's mother or for the original Ethan. Then that feeling peaked when I realized I had somehow lost my car keys. In despair, I called Jessica. "Pick me up now." Jessica found it absurd. "Am I your chauffeur?" "At your beck and call." "I'm not asking for a free ride," I said. Jessica was speechless. The nursing home was quite remote, and it was hard to even get a cab. So Jessica, resigned to her fate, came to get me. By the time we got home, it was already dark. More importantly, it was pouring rain. Looking at the massive curtain of rain outside, I took pity on Jessica and let her stay, bestowing upon her the guest room on the second floor. I didn't expect the doorbell to ring early the next morning. For God's sake, who's ringing the bell at this hour? I want to open the door, half asleep and bleary-eyed. "Who? What are you doing here?" Standing outside the door was unbelievably Chloe. Just as she was about to speak, footsteps came from the stairs, and Jessica's voice, clearly annoyed at being woken up, called out, "Who is it?" Chloe's face instantly turned cold, each word seeming to be squeezed from between her teeth. "It seems like I'm a bad time. My apologies for interrupting." I rolled my eyes internally. "You know you're disturbing people's sleep, huh? And what's with the long face? This is my house." "Okay, you're just an ex-wife. What right do you have to be angry and put on that 'I've been cheated on' expression for everyone to see? You've been cheating on me for so long, and I've let it all go." I turned back and said to Jessica, "It's nothing. You can go back to sleep." Jessica has a princess complex. She was stuck here because of me after all. The least I could do was ensure she got a good night's sleep, right? Seeing Chloe, Jessica actually seemed to wake up a bit, a lazy smile playing on her lips. "We have a guest. It would be rude of me to go back to sleep. And you, Ethan, why don't you invite her in?" I was speechless. "See, I told you this woman gets crazy when she doesn't get enough sleep." I ignored her and looked back at Chloe with no intention of letting her in. I just had her things cleared out, and I didn't want to dirty the house again and have to bother the housekeeper to clean up. "It's so early. Is there something you need, Miss Sterling?" I asked. Chloe's face was turning a pale shade of green. Jessica's few words had clearly hit a nerve, but she couldn't lash out. Before, she could have acted as the lady of the house and told Jessica to get lost. But now, she had less right to be here than Jessica, who couldn't even get through the front door. But this kind of woman is very resilient, and Chloe was no exception. She took a deep breath, avoided looking at Jessica, and took a key out of her pocket, handing it to me. "You forgot this at Mom's yesterday. She insisted I bring it to you." The implication being she was only here because her mother made her come. "Oh, thanks," I said, taking the key. "You really didn't have to go to the trouble. I have a spare." Chloe was at a loss for words. I waited a few seconds, my patience wearing thin, and gave a subtle hint. "Miss Sterling, is there anything else?" If Chloe couldn't pick up on the hint to leave, she wouldn't have gotten to where she is today. She pressed her lips together. "No, bang." I shut the door. Jessica was standing on the stairs watching me. I asked, puzzled, "Aren't you going back to catch up on sleep? Why are you staring at me like that?" Jessica narrowed her eyes slightly, her arms crossed. "Nothing. Just thinking. You're a bit heartless toward your ex-wife." I was utterly speechless. "If you have nothing nice to say, you don't have to say anything at all." Jessica lifted her chin. "Ethan, don't tell me you can't see what she's thinking." I retorted, "What is she thinking?" Jessica leaned back lazily, saying, "She wants to see you, doesn't she? Otherwise, she wouldn't have rushed over first thing in the morning just to deliver a car key, and she certainly wouldn't have looked so upset upon seeing Jessica in this house." I tilted my head, and Jessica tapped her fingers on the railing, saying casually, "You don't feel anything at all?" "What feeling? Just because she shows up, I'm supposed to come running back to her?" I found it a bit amusing. "I do." Jessica looked over, her eyes flickering, her back seeming to straighten. I shrugged. "I feel like I should have divorced her sooner. If I had known what kind of person she was, I would have given up on her long ago. Wasted so much of my time for nothing." Jessica didn't seem to expect me to say that. After staring at me for a while, she suddenly turned her head and smiled. "Well done, Ethan. Finally showing some backbone." I was so encouraged that I couldn't help but return the compliment. "Not all. I'm still far behind you." This one was the true master of playing the field, leaving no attachments behind, Jessica retorted. How many times do I have to tell you? I have nothing to do with those men. I quickly agreed. I know. You're just playing along with them. You haven't met your true love yet. Isn't that how it always is in novels? The domineering heiress will eventually meet her destined love and pay back her past emotional debts several times over. Jessica looked at me speechlessly, muttered, I knew I couldn't get through to a fool like you, and went back to sleep. I slept until the afternoon, woken up by hunger. When I woke up, I found a bunch of missed calls and messages on my phone, all from the original Ethan's parents. After a quick scroll, I knew why they were suddenly contacting me. You divorced Chloe? What were you thinking? How many times do we have to tell you? Chloe's company is on a roll right now, and we're in the middle of negotiating a partnership with her. What are we supposed to do now? You're a grown man. How can you still be so impulsive? Divorcing just like that. Don't you ever think about anyone else? You're so selfish. I don't have a son like you. It was the same old stuff over and over. I read for a bit and then stopped, heading out to find food. Smells delicious. I stared, dumbfounded, at the feast on the dining table and Jessica, who was leisurely enjoying her meal. Jessica, have you no conscience? You're eating all by yourself. Jessica glanced up. Am I supposed to starve for you? I was speechless. A very persuasive and irrefutable point. I walked right over, grabbed some chopsticks, and helped myself to the food. Say what you will, but Jessica really knows her food. Even the high-end Italian takeout she orders is better than anyone else's. By the way, your parents called me. They said they need to talk to you. But you're not picking up, Jessica said suddenly. I took another bite of my food. I know. Jessica paused her chopsticks, her eyes sweeping over my phone. Should I make myself scarce? I waved my hand. No need. They can say what they want. What's done is done. They can't do anything about it. Just as I said that, the phone rang again. I answered it. Before I could even get a word in, a barrage of accusations came from the other end. Ethan, you go find Chloe right now. Tell her you were wrong, that you were just acting on impulse. Beg her to take you back. Listening to the shrill female voice, I held the phone a little further away. Remory, they've got some nerve. I'm well aware of which is worse, getting yelled at or dying at Chloe's hands. Ethan, are you even listening to me?